Hello and welcome to the webinar, Power Your Plant's Future, How to Lower OPEX with On-Site Power, presented by Bloom Energy. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. We have a packed agenda filled with insights on how you can optimize your energy use, cut operational expenses, and move towards a more sustainable solutions without compromising financial stability. I'm Dean Perrine, Executive Vice President of JSA, and I'll be your host for the webinar today. We're going to explore some of the most pressing issues facing large industrial facilities today, including rising operational costs, unreliable power supplies, and stringent environmental regulations. Importantly, we'll show you how solid oxide fuel cell technology and innovative financing models can help tackle these challenges most effectively. The experts from Bloom Energy will explain the advantages of on-site power generation, detail the financial incentives available through state and federal renewable energy credits, and answer any questions that you might have. Whether you're looking to enhance operational efficiency, learn about alternative energy credits, or improve your financial performance, you're in the right place. So let's go ahead and get started. Joining me today from Bloom Energy, we have Mr. Sandeep Subdahar. Sandeep is the Director of Structured Finance and Corporate Development at Bloom. And Sandeep, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, thanks, Dean. Excited to be here. Our team's role is to assist customers with procurement options to meet each customer's specific needs as they look to deploy Bloom solutions for their facilities. This includes working with customers through the different financing solutions and then modeling the overall economics and the financial impact of the project against metrics that are most relevant to that customer.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sandeep. We also have Mr. Charlie Fox. Charlie is the Vice President of Government Affairs and Policy at Bloom. Charlie, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thanks, Dean. I head up the state and local policy team at Bloom. We help our customers navigate the regulatory playing field, assist with interactions with utilities and governments, and we leverage opportunities for our customers to use incentives to create additional value.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Charlie. And then finally, we have Mr. Dan Rogers. Dan is the Senior Director of Energy and Industrials at Bloom. Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Bloom?
Sure. Thanks, Dean. The the industrials team here at Bloom works with companies in the life sciences, the chemicals, aerospace, defense, oil and gas, food and beverage, really all of the various manufacturing companies that make up the producer side of the economy. And we find that all the companies in the industrial space want to address rising costs of power, but many of them also have needs they also have a need to address operational issues related to poor power quality or unreliable power. And much of the time, these factors can negatively impact operations, both in the direct loss of production and also with all the associated costs of business interruption. So today, while we're primarily addressing operational excellence from the standpoint of reducing OPEX, if any of our viewers have operational issues related to reliability or the quality of their power supply, please reach out because there are several unique aspects of Bloom's technology that make it excellent at addressing these problems. Dean?
Outstanding. Thank you very much, Dan. And thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Before we dig in, I want to go ahead and remind everyone that we value your participation and feedback. If you have any questions about the topics we're discussing or anything else related to Bloom's technology and financing options, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A. The Bloom team will review your questions throughout the webinar and address them directly in the Q&A or during the Q&A session at the end, everyone's favorite part. This is a great opportunity to get specific answers to your questions so that you can better understand how these solutions can be applied to optimize your facility's energy strategy. All right, Charlie, we're going to go ahead and start with you. Why don't you tell us more about the primary challenges around maintaining a reliable and cost-effective power supply?
I think the key challenge right now, Dean, is that delivered electricity costs are on the rise across the country, and especially in California and the Northeast. The trend is happening everywhere, and it's driven by increased load growth, delayed maintenance, and massive investments that are required by the energy transition. And this is creating both cost and reliability challenges. The key thing to understand is that fuel cell on-site power generation projects can provide a means to get out of the way of these rising utility costs, which are only just getting started. Dean?
Thank you, Charlie. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Bloom Energy is addressing those challenges with innovative solid oxide fuel cell technology in this short video.
The world faces unacceptable levels of energy disruptions caused by climate change and global energy turmoil. At Bloom Energy, we offer solutions to both with the power of "and". Our platform is designed to enable the generation of clean electricity and the production of clean hydrogen, supporting both energy security and decarbonization. Our solid oxide technology platform is the foundation for both the Bloom Energy Server and the Bloom Electrolyzer. The Bloom Energy Server converts chemical energy into electrical energy. Oxygen from ambient air reacts with hydrogen from the input fuel, producing electricity. With over 1 gigawatt deployed, it delivers reliable, clean, and affordable electricity without combustion. The Bloom Electrolyzer uses the same platform experience and manufacturing capacity to transform electricity into hydrogen at superior efficiencies. It uses electricity to separate water molecules into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. This increases renewable electricity's role in decarbonizing our economy by converting clean electricity into chemical energy for hard-to-decarbonize sectors. Our platform is designed for a net zero future, and our mission is to make clean, reliable energy affordable for everyone in the world. Together, let's embrace the power of "and".
Very cool, very cool. Science, right? It's an excellent overview. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about energy costs, a favorite topic to be sure. Energy costs influence everything from operational budgets to long-term strategic decisions. These costs are not static and can vary dramatically by region, driven by factors such as local regulations, fuel availability, and incentives, including federal investment tax credits for facilities considering new energy solutions. Charlie, we're going to start with you once again. What are the key benefits of these credits, and what preparation should facilities be making to maximize the benefits from the ITC before the end of 2024?
Thanks, Dean. I'm going to talk a little bit about the federal investment tax credit, and we're going to put a map up on the screen to get started. The first thing to understand is that, as I referenced earlier, energy costs are rising everywhere. This map will give you a quick snapshot of the trend, but even in the green areas and the yellow areas, costs are rising as a result of the more difficult than expected energy transition. And the key thing to understand is that there's ways to mitigate those costs, and one of them is using the federal investment tax credit. If we could go to the next slide. So most important things to understand: the federal investment tax credit for fuel cells can offset as much as 50% of project costs. The ITC for fuel cells applies everywhere in the country, every one of the states you're looking at a 30% level, meaning the federal government will provide a tax credit worth 30% of the project cost. It's important to know that Bloom Energy's products are all made in the United States. So Bloom projects qualify for an additional 10% or a 40% federal investment tax credit. In addition to the 40% for a Bloom project anywhere in the United States, there are some areas of the country where an additional 10% or 50% of the overall project costs will be paid for by the federal government's Inflation Reduction Act tax credits. Those areas are known as energy communities, and there's a variety of different types of them. Obviously, this map is not granular enough and tough to read, but the key thing to know is that when you get in touch with Bloom, we'll be able to use your facility address to determine the level of federal investment tax credit. It's going to be at least 40% and could be as high as 50%. Here's the most important thing to know. The opportunity to use the federal investment tax credit to remove as much as 50% of fuel cell project costs is very time sensitive. That's because the ITC is scheduled to expire at the end of this year on December 31st, 2024. However, there is a way to lock in that benefit now. If you have a contract with Bloom Energy to deploy one of its fuel cell systems, Bloom will procure 7% of the parts for that project and put them in a warehouse pending installation. That act allows us to qualify for what's known as the safe harbor provision of the federal ITC. And it means that we can lock in that huge financial benefit for you, provided we work together between now and the fall. The optimal timeframe would be no later than September, and the absolute drop dead date is Thanksgiving 2024. So it's important to get in touch with Bloom and help work together to lock in that federal investment tax credit benefit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Charlie. I feel like we're going to have a lot of people rewinding and going through that part again. Excellent information. Charlie, we're going to stick with you. Why don't you explain the role of state-specific incentive credits in supporting the adoption of renewable energy technologies and how these incentives vary from state to state? Another very important topic here.
Sure thing, Dean. And importantly, everything I'm about to say is on top of or in addition to the federal investment tax credit benefits. Importantly, certain parts of the country, particularly the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, there are also state and local incentives that are available for fuel cells. This includes all of the states within the New England ISO, which is the 7 New England states, as well as the 11 states that are within the PJM ISO. And ISO is essentially the grid, the entity that operates the regional electric grids, and it covers those states right there. So you're really talking about 24 separate states where we can access incentives for fuel cells that can be as lucrative as $35 a megawatt hour. And that's on top of the federal investment tax credit. Similar to the ITC, these benefits are time sensitive because there's limited budgets, but in every one of these places, state level incentives are available today in addition to the ITC. So it's important that you get in touch with Bloom and that we work together to bring these incentives to bear to reduce project costs. One of the most important things I want you to be aware of is that our customers don't need to learn the details. Bloom will apply for all of the incentives and then incorporate them into the project economics along with the federal investment tax credit to make sure that the power purchase agreement that Bloom enters into with its customers is as financially advantageous as possible for the customer.
Wow, very, very cool. Thank you, Charlie. Sandeep, we're going to get you involved now. Let's go ahead and pivot to another critical aspect of financial strategy in on-site energy implementation: no capital financing solutions. This approach removes upfront investment, which can be a significant barrier for many facilities. No capital financing, or zero down financing, we all know what that is, allows facilities to adopt advanced energy solutions like Bloom's solid oxide fuel cell technology without the initial financial outlay. Sandeep, again, we're gonna go with you. Tell us a little bit about Bloom's financing options, including Bloom's experience providing these solutions and why financial partners are eager to work with Bloom.
Sure, Dean. Bloom offers 2 basic types of purchase options, which you can see here on the slide: a traditional capital purchase and a finance option. For capital purchase options, a customer can purchase the Bloom equipment like any other capital equipment for a facility or plant and pay for the equipment installation upfront. The customer would then enter into a long-term service agreement with Bloom to provide the ongoing operation and maintenance services for the equipment. Alternatively, Bloom offers finance solutions, which Dean indicated earlier, which bundles the equipment, installation, and ongoing O&M costs all into a full turnkey offering, including the monetization of the investment tax credits that Charlie also mentioned earlier. This requires no upfront capital from the customer and is instead paid through a $1 per kilowatt hour tolling rate or $1 per kilowatt capacity payment.
Very good. Gentlemen, you are making this easy for your customers, aren't you? We're going to go ahead and stick with these advantages. Still with you, Sandeep, what are the primary advantages of adopting no capital financing options when implementing advanced power solutions in larger facilities?
Sure. Ultimately, it depends on the customer's specific goals. The customers who decide to go with the Bloom finance option take advantage of Bloom's competitive project finance infrastructure capital. As you can see here, we've raised over $5 billion of project financing to date and have worked with a variety of partners to come up with compelling pricing and solutions for our customers. This also means that you don't have to allocate limited and often difficult to get internal capital budgets, which tend to have expensive hurdle rates. With financing options, customers are essentially trading one operating expense, paying the utility, for another cheaper, cleaner, and more reliable Bloom rate. As Charlie noted earlier, as utility prices continue to become both more expensive and more unpredictable, we're seeing an increasing interest from facility operators for Bloom solutions, as they're able to get all the operational benefits of Bloom's technology with a simple and predictable procurement option.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Okay, that's the meat and potatoes of the webinar today. And now we are going to go ahead and jump into everyone's favorite part, some Q&A. And I have seen a number of questions already come through. This is your chance to dive more into what we've been covering today. So you can submit your questions in the Q&A if you haven't already, and the Bloom team will address them in the time that we have remaining. And we do have just a little bit of time. And here are a couple of the questions. So, okay, team, here is question number one. Great first question. Are these hydrogen fuel cells? And Dan, I'll go ahead and kick that over this first question over to you. But gentlemen, feel free to jump in and elaborate and provide some color around Dan's initial response. Are these hydrogen fuel cells?
Fuel cells, yeah, good question. So hydrogen fuel cells have been in the news, so people have heard about them. In short, Bloom is using the same core technology to either make hydrogen or electricity. And so our solid oxide fuel cell brings in natural gas, reforms it into hydrogen, and then uses that to produce electricity. And then Bloom also has the same core technology that can be deployed to bring in electrons and make hydrogen. Hopefully those electrons are from a renewable source, so you can make green hydrogen. And so we do both. What Bloom has been doing for more than a decade, I think since 2008 when we went commercial. So this is not a brand new technology. It's a very proven technology with over 1,000 installations in the US and abroad. Most of those installations are solid oxide fuel cells, which are making electricity for our customers, again, all over the country, all over the Northeast. And we're typically doing that for one of several reasons, improve cost, which we've discussed here today, but also reliability, time to power. There's several different reasons our customers do that. And then there's an emerging hydrogen economy that's coming that we're ready for, we're very excited about. And in those situations or those applications, we'll use our fuel cells to make hydrogen, again, hopefully from renewable electricity.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Charlie or Sandeep, anything to add there? Second question, does Bloom install the system?
I'll take it. So the short answer is generally yes. And so we have customers across all different areas of the economy, retail, hospitals, and they usually would ask us to take the lead on the installation. I don't want to necessarily call it turnkey, but we have a very broad team. If we have to, we can do turnkey. But generally, what we do is we carve out a section of your facility and we install our application and what we call a yard only, or the yard where you want the on-site generation to be, and we tie it into your facility. And then Bloom actually oversees the operation of that for the term of the agreement.
Very good. Anything to add, Charlie, Sandeep? Okay, excellent. I'm going to go ahead and move on to question number 3. Okay, so what are the operational and service requirements for the Bloom system? Dan, you want to jump on this one, and then we'll let Charlie and Sandeep provide any color?
Yeah, and one key thing I want to point out is we're talking about on-site power generation, but our customers don't have to be in the power generation business. It's a very unique technology. It's a very reliable technology that operates for many years. Again, we typically do about a 15-year agreement where we're looking at installation and operation, but Bloom oversees the service and operation of the equipment, which is an interesting because when we look at applications where we want to help the client lower emissions, so this is non-combustion technology, very high efficiency. So if you think about it in terms of power generation, it's a sub-7 heat rate, it's 54% electrical efficiency, that's non-combustion. And so when we're helping our clients tackle emissions issues related to the energy transition, generally a lower CO2 than the grid, with no NOx, no SOx, no particulate matter. And also it remains in scope 2 for virtually all of our customers. So The short answer is the customers don't have to figure out how to operate a fuel cell. We take care of that for them.
Outstanding, great. And you did mention the reliability
Yeah.
factor, so I'm going to jump into another question and then go back to another question. Is Bloom's system more reliable than the existing grid? Great question.
Yeah, it is for several reasons. One, Charlie mentioned the grid, the growing demand on the grid, the age of the grid, and how many customers have probably noticed the headlines around the instability of the grid, the growing number of brownouts. With on-site power, first you're putting it there at your facility, so you're not subject to the grid transmission issues. Also, Bloom is a modular, scalable technology. That modular technology doesn't have a single point of failure and has tremendous amount of redundancy. So any one of our modules, if there's something going on with them, can continue. All the rest of them can continue to run and even uprate a little bit to deliver full power. Additionally, Bloom monitors all of our systems around the globe, either from our headquarters in California or from a secondary operations center in India. We watch our applications 24/7 around the globe. We have a service team that can come out and address any issues. And the final thing I would say is, so a very redundant by design, and it's gone through hurricanes, it's gone through fires in California, typhoons in Asia, all of them ran through Hurricane Sandy with no issues. So it's proven to be very reliable technology over the years. And the last thing I would mention is it's not rotating equipment. So turbines or recips or a lot of the other types of technology that you would hear about that are putting power on the grid, they have maintenance cycles. They have to come down annually for maintenance. We can service our equipment while in operation, has a much longer service cycle, much more reliable equipment. It's not rotating equipment that has the same type of service schedule that you typically, associate with power generation equipment.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Unless there's anything to add to this, I'm going to jump into our next question. And this clearly, some things that Sandeep had to say have resonated. So I believe that this question is probably going to be for Sandeep. Statement first. I have multiple locations of distributors across the country. Can we lock in a dollar amount kilowatt capacity rate across multiple zip codes? Sandeep?
Short answer is yes. The rates may be different by location depending on local taxes, and as Charlie mentioned earlier, some may have a higher benefit of ITC. But we often work with our customers. I think you saw a couple of them on their Walmart and Home Depot who have obviously stores across the nation, and we will lock in rates in multiple locations that take into account the local costs, but then also are fixed for the term.
Excellent. Very good. And that is about it on time. So, however, if there are questions that did come in, I promise you that the folks at Bloom will get back to you, excuse me, after the webinar today. So thank you, Dan, Charlie, and Sandeep for a great conversation around incentives and innovative financing. And thanks to all who joined us today. For those who may have further questions or need more information, please don't hesitate to visit Bloom Energy's website at www.bloomenergy.com, where you can find detailed resources. Excuse me. Additionally, you can reach out directly to the team who are always ready to assist you. So go ahead and keep an eye on your email, as well as our friends at Bloom will send a follow-up with the recording of today's discussion and any additional resources to help you continue your journey toward energy efficiency and sustainability. So once again, thank you for attending the Bloom Energy webinar, Power Your Plant's Future, How to Lower OPEX with On-Site Power. Have a great day, and let's keep pushing the boundaries on what's possible with energy solutions.